James Butler Boxing Source here with another video. And this video here is to talk about Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, the multi-division champion, Canelo Alvarez, who had his last encounter with Sergey Kovalev in November of 2019, where he was able to score the knockout victory to become the WBO light heavyweight champion. But now it seems like we have a little bit of an issue. We don't necessarily know who his next opponent is going to be. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of back and forth going on about that. Now, we have discussed the thing with Canelo Alvarez before in the midweek report. In that midweek report, we were talking about how the little thing between Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya is kind of sketchy to say the least. And that you have Canelo Alvarez that's not really dealing with Oscar De La Hoya directly. So that is one issue. But with this latest thing that's been happening over the past couple of days, you had the thing in reference to Canelo's potential opponents. Two guys that have been brought up as potential opponents are Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. Callum Smith being the Ring Magazine and the WBA Super Champion at Super Middleweight. And you have Billy Joe Saunders as the WBO champion at Super Middleweight. On Friday, during the card for Ryan Garcia and Francisco Fonseca, Oscar De La Hoya kind of discussed the little situation with Canelo Alvarez and that, oh, these guys are scared of Canelo and they don't want to fight him and they're not accepting the contracts and the offers and they're just rejecting it because they know that they're not going to be able to beat Canelo Alvarez. Well, I mean, here's the thing though. Canelo Alvarez is in a pretty sticky situation. If you think about it, you have Canelo Alvarez that has, agreed to a very lucrative deal with DAZN. He's in the middle of that lucrative deal with DAZN. 11 fights, $365 million. Okay? He's gone through 3 fights already in that 11 fight deal. So he has 8 fights left. Now, on average, he is, getting about, $33 million per fight on average. Now, that doesn't mean that he's getting, guaranteed $33 million every single fight, but at the very minimum, you could say that he's getting about $30 million per fight. Now, the part about that is that every potential opponent knows that Canelo is getting at least $32 to $33 million every time he fights, and they want a good percentage of from what Canelo is getting. So when you talk about potential offers for these opponents, you have the Callum Smiths, the Billy Joe Saunders, even the Gennady Golovkins that has been brought up, even the Jamal Charlos that have been brought up, the Demetrius Andres that have been brought up. These guys are looking to quote unquote cash in on this potential matchup with Canelo Alvarez. If Canelo Alvarez is getting about $32 to $33 million for the fight, I want at least 12 or $13 million. Whether they're pretty popular or not, you're not going to go into a fight negotiation where the percentage split is 75-25 in favor of Canelo, especially if you are a world champion. You're not gonna go into those negotiations in that instance. Yeah, I know Canelo's the guy. I know Canelo is the cash cow. But when you are the cash cow, you have an advantage and you have a disadvantage. Your disadvantage is everybody knows you're the cash cow. Everybody knows that money is going to be put in that particular event where Canelo Alvarez is involved in. And as a businessman, you want to cash in on that big time investment in Canelo Alvarez. So, with that being said, that's why there is kind of like a major snag as to who Canelo is going to fight. At least that's what it is in my opinion. Is that a lot of these guys know that if they fight Canelo Alvarez, they should be able to get a certain amount of money in order for that fight to happen. So, whether these offers to these guys are public or not, whether they say anything that is $10 million or below, they're not going to take that because it's going to be a little bit of a bad split for them to have in comparison to Canelo Alvarez. So, what we're going to be looking out for in the next few days or so is that we're going to see more of these announcements of these offers that have been sent, that have been rejected. Uh, Oscar De La Hoya is still going to be talking and talking and talking, but we really haven't heard nothing from Canelo Alvarez himself about it, and that is something that we should really be paying attention to because Canelo is the one that calls the shots, and Canelo is not dealing directly with Oscar De La Hoya. So whatever Oscar De La Hoya says, don't expect Canelo Alvarez to completely co-sign it. Cause remember, you had the whole thing that happened last year with Canelo Alvarez not being able to secure a fight with, the middleweight contenders that were out there when he was at middleweight, and that resulted in Canelo Alvarez losing the IBF middleweight championship. So remember, Canelo and Oscar are pretty much still, clashing when it comes to overall negotiations and things like that. So keep an eye out on that. Look out for who could be the front runner for Canelo Alvarez's opponent on May 2nd. And be sure to subscribe to the Boxing Source on YouTube. Catch the Boxing Source radio show live 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Blog Talk Radio. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever you use for your favorite podcasts. And on that note, folks, I'm out. Peace.